You can't be serious about that, can you?
I'm very serious about it.
I'll give him credit for that because there's a lot of
the bravery for running away when he got tired.
No, the bravery.
Sorry. Sorry. From round one, running away, jumping up and down, falling down on the floor. Yeah.
$1 million.
He did not, but go ahead.
For a clown show. For a freaking clown show. Jake Paul embarrassed himself, embarrassed the...
Stephen A. Smith confronted Jake Paul in a live interview following his knockout defeat to Anthony Joshua, questioning why Jake chose to face such a high-level opponent so early and labeling it a risky move. Jake responded with confidence, stating that he still has the best team, strong training, and believes the loss will not end his boxing career.
A few more fights. I'm not taking him on in my next bout, but a couple more years of experience with the team I got. I'm surrounded by the best team in the world possible that money can afford, so I'm getting exponentially better.
Following Jake Paul's fight with Anthony Joshua, Logan Paul responded to fan and critic reactions, saying many critics were going to hate regardless. He noted that fighting at such a high level always attracts scrutiny, and this bout was no exception. Logan admitted no one truly expected Jake to beat a two-time Olympian, but praised his brother's confidence and determination for even taking the challenge. Despite breaking his jaw, Jake stayed upbeat, joking and creating content from the hospital, reflecting his toughness and passion for boxing. Logan stressed that this fearless mindset is what fuels Jake's journey, and while the fight ended in defeat, he believes it proved Jake's resilience and willingness to face challenges few others would, earning respect through perseverance rather than a win.
Haters gonna hate. It's just the name of the game, you know. When you're operating at the high level that my brother and I are, the haters come with it. I mean, statistically speaking, part-timer, I think the narrative's dead. I've been showing up every single Monday for the past month and a half. I've wrestled in 4 out of the 5 times I was there. I won every single match. So like, everyone who's yapping can now shut their trap because the narrative's dead.
I mean, you brought the receipts. I think that the proof stands for itself. And you mentioned your brother. Jake went 6 rounds on Friday night with Anthony Joshua. I know how proud you are of him. You were in the hospital with him afterwards. You called him an absolute warrior and said on your Instagram that his broken jaw won't break his spirit. How did you think, and what did you think of how the fight went down?
So, from strictly a logical point of view, I actually think it went down exactly as it was supposed to. I'm not sure anyone really thought that Jake was going to beat Anthony Joshua, but you have to understand, being his brother and in his close circle, he has this conviction that makes you believe, and he has this ability to defy reality and morph it into his vision of how it'll transpire that makes you think he'll win. However, like this was my opinion, this was a logical conclusion to the fight. The 2-time Olympian broke the influencer boxer's jaw. Like, okay, you know, we could have wrote it in a story and it would have made sense. That said, I think he did amazing. I'm incredibly proud of him. I think it was a net positive. I think the world can see now how tough Jake Paul is.
Eddie Hearn shared his perspective on Jake Paul's performance against Anthony Joshua, saying critics who claimed Jake was only running missed the bigger picture. From the start, it was obvious Jake had virtually no chance against a fighter of Joshua's level, so his main goal was survival. Hearn explained that the real test was how long Jake could last, and he surpassed expectations by going the full 6 rounds. Many believed he wouldn't last even a few, yet he showed impressive resilience by enduring the power and skill of a top-tier heavyweight. Although Jake wasn't competitive in the traditional sense, Hearn noted that simply surviving against such an elite opponent is a significant achievement, highlighting Jake's toughness, mental strength, and ability to handle intense pressure despite the defeat.
Listen, I mean, at the end of the day, Jake had one job, and that was to try and survive. I mean, he was never, ever going to win the fight, ever. And if you would have said to me, do I think he'll go 6 rounds? I would have said absolutely not. I mean, I felt that it would take AJ a couple of rounds to get hold of him, because I knew Jake can move a bit, and he'd be moving off the back foot, and he'd be holding. But it was the way that he did it, I think, was actually quite impressive. Like, not that particular part, but the way that he would, the way that he was strong in the clinch. He wouldn't let AJ get his shots off in the clinch. He made him miss a few times. And obviously, AJ's been out of the ring for a while. But to be honest, I think the most fascinating thing of the whole night in terms of the fight was how he didn't get flatlined by that right hand. I mean, I said going into the fight, it's probably going to take AJ a few rounds to get hold of him. And I also said, as soon as he lands clean, the fight's over, right? He landed a few before, but the first that he landed really clean was the final shot. But, he never flatlined Jake. I mean, he did break his jaw in 2 places, which is a disaster, but there are a lot of heavyweights that would have been out cold from that right hand. I mean, one of them was Francis Ngannou in a pretty similar shot, really. Do you know what I mean? So I actually give Jake unbelievable credit for doing it in the first place, but his performance as well. I mean, I stand by the fact that I think he's just a decent cruiserweight, but he did go in with Anthony Joshua, and look, the world is full of criticism and opinions and negativity. Who else is doing what he's doing at what is he, late 20s? I mean, quite phenomenal. I mean, the guy's a complete madman. I'm watching him come out to that ring walk, and he's just a...
Stephen Smith added that Jake Paul cannot hide behind his YouTuber background when facing a truly elite fighter like Anthony Joshua. He argued that if Jake still sees himself mainly as a YouTuber, then he has no place stepping into the ring with top-level boxers, emphasizing that high-stakes fights demand full professional commitment rather than fame or a crossover image.
Years. He takes the sport very seriously.
Thank you. So let me ask you, that's the question I have, because great kid, great businessman, by the way, amazing. And I know how he does all this, the character and the persona. We keep saying that he doesn't want to be a boxer. He's not a boxer, but then
Jake Paul is a boxer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my point.
Exactly. He's a boxer.
He can fight. I respect it. So go in there against fighters. You should be climbing the ladder towards those other fighters and taking the sport seriously to the point where you're fighting.
Derek Chisora refused to give Jake Paul much respect after his fight with Anthony Joshua, challenging the idea that simply stepping into the ring equals bravery. He rejected claims from figures like Chris Eubank Jr. that Jake deserved credit for lasting 6 rounds, arguing that Jake spent most of the fight running, avoiding exchanges, falling, and throwing very few punches. According to Chisora, bravery is not just showing up or enduring pain for money, but risking one's life for a greater cause, such as fighting for a country. While acknowledging Jake's commitment to the event, he stressed that surviving 6 rounds against Joshua does not automatically earn respect for skill or courage, and criticized Jake for turning the loss into social media content rather than showing true combat bravery.
And someone who is supposed to it's not supposed to look competitive, he's not supposed to hit you, he's not supposed to go more than 3 rounds, but at the same time, you need to know how to control the pressure. I think AJ's demeanor in the build-up was someone who was like, everyone's saying these things, but this is how I see it. Yeah, I rate him, he can box a bit. He did say in an interview with Steve Bunce that when he was talking certain things, there's a part of me that wants to punch him in his face, but I'm just gonna chill. And I feel like that's how he handled the immense pressure.
The last time we saw AJ fuming like this, like when he actually tried to do something, was with Dylan. So we should not judge him when he says something like this, because when he don't say nothing, we say, oh, why is he not saying anything back? Yeah. And when he says something...
An analyst claims that respect should not be linked to Jake Paul in this case, arguing the fight was driven by money rather than true competition. He says the bout exposed Jake's repeated grabbing and holding, which made him appear fearful instead of composed. This reaction, he explains, was understandable because Anthony Joshua is not past his prime, but a dangerous, active heavyweight known for backing up his threats. As Joshua's punches got closer, Jake became increasingly defensive and focused on survival. According to the analyst, this was self-preservation, not bravery. And while many would take the risk for a $92 million payday, that level of money does not automatically earn respect in boxing.
And I think a lot of things were revealed inside the ring. All the grabbing of the leg and stuff like that, that shouldn't have been. That almost looked like, it reminded me of Troy. You guys remember Troy when Orlando Bloom's character grabbed his brother's leg, You know what I mean? It looked like he was desperately scared, but I think he should have been desperately scared because AJ was coming to hurt him. This wasn't a Mike Tyson fight. He wasn't 58 years old. This dude is 36. And Anthony Joshua, like he said, because I've heard AJ say stuff like that. Hey, I'm going to F you up. He said the same thing to Hellenius. Because he thought Hellenius was looking at him crazy. And it's like, what do you, why are you looking at me like that? Right? And Hellenius like, huh? And what happened to Hellenius? He got knocked out, and needless to say, he tested positive for something. But yeah, so if you hear AJ say, hey, I'm gonna F you up, oh yeah, that's what he means. And I think Jake Paul knew it. And I mean, he avoided a lot of big shots at the beginning of that fight, But then as AJ started getting closer and those punches started getting, more in range of hitting him, the grabbing happened a lot, more.
Chris Mannix and Sergio Mora placed most of the responsibility on Jake Paul while analyzing Anthony Joshua's 6th-round knockout, arguing that Jake didn't just lose but embarrass himself in boxing by exposing a lack of basic fundamentals. Mora stated that real fighters are conditioned to deal with fatigue, pain, and pressure, while Jake only learned how to throw punches, not how to fight under danger. They pointed out that Joshua clearly controlled the fight and appeared to hold back, choosing not to end it early despite being able to. According to them, the bout should have finished much sooner, as Jake focused more on avoiding exchanges than actually boxing. Mannix added that when a skilled professional decides to hurt a non-fighter, the difference becomes obvious very quickly. Both analysts labeled the fight disappointing, harmful to boxing's image, worse than expected, and impossible to justify from a sporting standpoint.
Paul embarrassed himself, embarrassed the sport, and embarrassed everyone that calls himself a fighter. And I've been telling you this for years. The thing about boxers is we train to be tired. We train to be hurt. We train to roll with punches. We train for a lot of things that this YouTube Disney star has been nobody. Never learned the trait. He never learned how to fight. He learned how to throw some punches. He learned how to box. And I told you it's because Jake Paul had the resources. He can have a head start in this career like you did in life, and you can make it out. But the thing is, when a fighter really wants to hurt another non-fighter, he can do it, and he can do it a lot easier and a lot faster. Anthony Joshua played with his food, and I'm going to tell you right now, he played with his food. I don't think he should have went to the 6th round, maybe the 4th at latest, because Jake Paul was running. He wasn't boxing. He was running, and every time he had a chance to try to tackle Anthony Joshua in fear, he was on his knees. It looked like he was praying. Jake Paul spent more times on his knees than you did in college praying for a girlfriend. It was embarrassing, Chris Mannix. It was embarrassing. And all the people that tuned in to Netflix and everyone else, just like the Mike Tyson fiasco that happened a couple of years ago, we feel disgusted for having to watch that.
I'm not going to defend the fight. It was a bad fight. It was actually worse.
You're not going to put him on the cover of Sports Illustrated again?
No, because we put him on the cover of Sports Illustrated for very different reasons than boxing. It was a power issue, as you know.
Ben Shalom harshly criticized the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight, labeling it a freak show that crossed a dangerous line. He said that while some crossover bouts can be dismissed as entertainment, this matchup carried real risks. Drawing on his experience as a promoter, Shalom highlighted how serious the medical dangers in boxing are and warned that fights treated as quick money grabs can quickly turn tragic. He argued that this kind of event makes a mockery of boxing and damages the sport's reputation, noting that many stay quiet because of financial incentives. Shalom added that fans, young audiences, and sponsors may begin to see this as what boxing represents, stressing that the sport is always one punch away from disaster and that there is no justification for an average fighter from another. Background jumping weight classes to face a two-time world champion.
Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua circumstance. I mean, a lot of people talking about the discredit it does to boxing. I don't put it in the category of boxing. I put it in the category of entertainment, and Anthony Joshua being introduced to America as a media star. What's your overall view of what it does or doesn't do for boxing? Jake Paul being licensed in a fight that many people think that he shouldn't have been licensed to fight, in a commission that often does that. As a promoter, do you think it's a bad look for boxing, or are you thinking it doesn't really matter, it's not really what boxing's about?
I usually and have said in the past that things can be things, you know, you've got to take it for what they are, but in this occasion I do think it is a freak show, if I'm honest. I also think it's dangerous. I'm sat here as a boxing promoter and I see what goes on with the medicals before and after fights and how dangerous the sport is. And I saw Callum Simpson, the fight should have been stopped way before it was, but was in trouble on Saturday night. It's all a bit of fun and it's all a money grab until someone gets seriously hurt, seriously damaged, and then the whole sport comes into disrepute. For me, it makes a mockery of the sport of boxing. For me, no one in the industry wants to talk badly about it because everyone's lined, the pockets are getting lined. And when you look at that, and kids will look at that, and fans will look at that, and sponsors will look at that and think that that is boxing, as I say, we're one punch away from something serious. And yeah, it's
Ben, on the flip side of that argument, mate, you will tell me that you knew that Chris Eubank wasn't right to go into that fight.
No, but let's be completely honest, right? Whatever you want to say about that fight, these are two experienced professional fighters. Chris Eubank Jr. has been in fights previously.
Duke McKenzie criticized the level of competition Jake Paul faces, calling it very poor. He suggested that fighters from his own gym, many of whom are not elite professionals, could perform just as well or better in these crossover bouts. McKenzie mocked the idea of claiming a world title after a short fight against weak opposition, implying the title carries little meaning. He added that such fights are more about easy money than real risk, noting his gym fighters wouldn't even get hurt. He also expressed frustration with athletes from other sports entering boxing, emphasizing that it is an elite discipline that should not be treated casually or diluted by novelty contests.
I take a lot of my time and a lot of my patience to train these guys. Now, they don't know a right hook from a meat hook. They don't know a jab, you know, from a proper boxing jab to a jab in the arm with an injection. They haven't learnt the basic fundamentals. Nobody's taught them to keep their hands up and their chin down. Nobody's taught them how to jab properly. Like I say, these guys were just swinging shots on a wing and a prayer, and it was quite painful to watch. I don't know who coaches these guys. I don't know. Maybe they're MMA, maybe they're kickboxers, maybe they're professionals in their chosen field, but they're not being trained by boxing coaches. That's clear. What I would do, you'd have to strip them down and start from square one. And I mean, I've got a lot of guys in my gym, and a lot of these guys probably would do better if they entered this Misfits competition. I'd have guys from my gym calling themselves world champion, because at the end of the 6 rounds, Timur was crowned and still heavyweight world Misfits champion. Well, if that's the level of opposition, I might even head a few of my guys into that, see if they can't nick a few quid. They're not going to get hurt. It's, what surprises me about all of these crossover organisations that want to, you've got footballers that want to be boxers, you've got MMA that want to be boxers, you've got boxers that want to be boxers, you've got table tennis, you've got cricketers, you've got, name any sport you want, rugby.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for the next one.